Some reinforcements might be in store in the future for this Detroit Lions defense, Flannel Sam, in the names of Melifonwu, and Emmanuel Mosely.
What?
This secondary could get even nastier.
The rich get richer. And not only that, you were able to survive a game at Lambeau with Alkamin Muhammad and Levi Onwuzurike being your starting edge rushers. That should not be the case at Houston, because it looks like Josh Paschal will be back. He had a non-cancerous mass removed from his shoulder, and looks like he's coming back. That had to be some scary stuff for him.
So for him, man.
So glad that he's okay. And Zadarius Smith, I know he's getting a couple days off because this was supposed to be his bye week, and now he doesn't get one, but I think he's expected to report on Friday. And a veteran like him, he doesn't need a whole lot to get ready. I think we will see him as well. But the bigger news is that Melifonwu and Emmanuel Mosely, who both have not played so far this year due to injury, have their 21-day window to return. Their 21-day practice clock has just been activated. And man, as I was saying before, the rich just continue to get richer, because I want to paint a picture of what you could actually be getting with them coming back. And it's not a perfect picture, but I just want to really show you what these guys can do. I got to start with Emmanuel Mosely, because at this point, you're not exactly sure. You definitely can't count on an Emmanuel Mosely, because his career his body has just basically betrayed him lately. 2 consecutive ACL injuries in back-to-back years, and then a torn pec. But when he was on the field, this man, I truly believe this, Emmanuel Mosely was better when he was at his apex than any corner that we currently have right now has been at any time in their career. Obviously, Terrion Arnold is a rookie. He has not had a lot of time, but still. In 2021, Emmanuel Mosely only yielded a 78 passer rating when targeted, and in 2022, before he went down, a 64 passer rating when targeted. And we know that the corners have done a very admirable job, and Terrion Arnold is only continuing to get better. But if, knock on wood, there's even an injury that has to keep somebody out for a game or two, and obviously Terrion, Carlton Davis, and Amik, they've been good, but I still think you could use the reinforcements. Maybe Emmanuel Mosely is that guy if he can come back, because he has played a lot of good football when he was healthy.
Especially when we look at last year. When we look at last year, it was almost in reverse. We were losing members of the secondary, and we wound up having to rely on players where the moment might have been a little bit too big. And the times and the roles and the positions that they were playing, we were overutilizing them. When we talk about that word usage, I love how scrappy and how hard they work, like guys like Jerry Jacobs and Kendall Vildor, but they were in over their heads in those positions game after game after game. So in this year, though, it's almost in a position where the Detroit Lions are going to be getting secondary help, hopefully.
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
We hope. We have to say hopefully.
Hopefully.
I would assume that activating it at this point means that there's like, this is a good thing, because we talked about during the break, this did happen with James Houston last year, and we were wondering, is he going to play? Is he going to be active? And towards the end of that season, they started that practice clock. Shout out to Matthew Broder, who was one of the first to get a video of James Houston walking around the practice facility and everything, and put out there, he's back. And social media lit up at that time, because we needed an edge rush. We needed a pass rush. At that time, man, I remember how happy we were. But I'm hoping this time around, knock on wood, that with the secondary, hopefully with the opportunity to get more healthy, to get more deep, to get more experience and more knowledgeable, I can't wait. I'm really hoping that those guys are available, especially for a potential playoff run.
Well, and also I saw
Super Bowl run. I'm sorry,
Super Bowl winning run.
Thank you, Flannel.
That's
what
all right.
Brothers for?
Yes. That's what brothers are for. But Mitten Made in the chat mentioned something. My boy Rake needs more reps. I actually disagree. I think that what we've seen from Ennis Rakestraw so far this season actually would potentially necessitate Emmanuel Mosely being a depth piece, because right now, and it's not an attack on him, he's a rookie second rounder, I don't think he's ready to contribute meaningfully to a Super Bowl winning team. There's a reason why Terrion Arnold was a much better prospect and was drafted much higher, is that he's somebody that, I know KG was the leader of that pack, but all of us, once he was drafted, thought there was a pathway to him contributing to a Super Bowl winning team, and he has, and Ennis Rakestraw just is not ready.
I agree with that. I want to hear what KG has to say as well, but I do agree with that. I think you said it well. It's not an attack on him, and I think to further prove that, that's why we just omit the conversation. We understand he's a rookie. That's why up to this point we haven't really addressed Where's Rakestraw at?
Right.
Because of what the expectation was. If Cherryon Arnold was having a similar type season with the expectations and the draft slot and such, like you said, Flannel, we'd be having a different conversation.
And we did see Rake in the Packers game. He did get beat for a big play. Yeah. I do agree with Sam. I don't think he's ready yet. Now, that's not saying he's going to be a bust or anything like that, but just give it time with Rakestraw. Exactly. He needs time to adjust. He was a second-round pick. I'm sure they expect more of him going forward. But, man, to get Melifonwu back first and foremost, he is like one of the best blitzing safeties in the NFL, man. And that's somebody that you're absolutely going to need down the stretch. You saw what happened in that Packer game. Brian Branch gets ejected. Then what? And, shout out to Brandon Joseph for stepping up. But ultimately, you need people back there that you can depend on. And Melifonwu is definitely one of those people. He's one of the better tacklers on this team as well. So you're definitely going to need him. And I thought Mosely was done. Like, that was news to me when they said he was coming back. I thought he was done for the year.
No, at the beginning of the season, they stated the way that they shut everything down, it was for the purposes of potentially having him back for like a playoff run.
Wow, man.
Yeah, I was, when I heard the news, I was just like, oh, snap. Yeah. I forgot about that.
No, I absolutely. And to get somebody like him back is going to prove dividends later on down the road. I mean, we talked about the injuries. Obviously, you can't depend on him to play major snaps for this team. But even in a reserve role, having a veteran like that, you need as many good veterans as you can get down the stretch in terms of, finishing the season and getting into the playoffs. Because we all saw what happened with Kendall Vildor last year. No, I don't mean to throw shots at him, but if you had somebody more experienced playing that corner position last year, then maybe that play, said play doesn't happen. So it's good to see Mosely back. I hope he gets back to 100% and actually can contribute to this team because they haven't given up on him. They've signed him, a couple times now. They expect him to contribute to this team in some way, shape, or form. So hopefully he can do that.
Yeah, and I know that some people have asked as well, Flannel and KG and the rest of the Woo crew, about Melifonwu and how we will utilize them. And before we dive into that, Woodward Sports MVP, JB Smooth, man. All the talk so far, man. This back wall right now, Ify and Mosely. Talk to me, brother.
I kind of feel like KG as well, too. I was a little surprised in knowing and hearing that Emanuel Mosely would be back because I just thought we just shut him down for the whole entire season and that was it. But to see that he could quite potentially be back for hopefully this, long-term playoff run that we have going on, it's amazing. It's great. This bolsters the defense amazingly, and now this gives us an even better shot at, I don't want to put this out there, but, that Super Bowl hopes is well alive for this team now.
Damn right.
I just want this one dream fulfilled right now. Ify Melifonwu and Emanuel Mosely, come back to the Detroit Lions. Super Bowl, man. I want all of the reinforcements we can get, and some of the questions are, hey, when these guys are back, how's that room going to look? Especially with the Ify Melifonwu, because that safety rotation is weird. Both of those guys are looking like Defensive Player of the Year candidates.
It's a crazy situation because before the season, before I knew that Ify was going to ultimately miss so much time, and before I saw what Brian Branch ultimately has done at the safety position, I would have had Ify as like the full-time safety and Branch as the slot corner because you saw that work effectively last year. But you can't really do that right now because Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are literally right now the two best safeties in the NFL.
Must be on the field.
If there was an all-pro, I would vote for both of them to be on it, and that's not a homer take. That's not hyperbole. That's how it has borne out. But with Ify, it's...
Listen, when I hear you say stuff like that, we've had more than enough film on Flannel to know that he does not just without, in his own world of logic, just gas up the Lions. So if he's saying it, that stuff gets me really fired up, Flannel.
Yes, and Terrell from FL says something interesting. If he can play all over the field, absolutely. He's good in coverage, yes, and in the box. He could actually play a hybrid Sam role. Can't wait till he comes back.
Yeah. Better in the box than coverage, but I get what he means.
Sure, he's competent enough in coverage. And is there a way that they can all be on the field more often than you think? Maybe Aaron Glenn is more creative, because I want to paint another picture, as I often do when it comes to Ify Melifonwu, because right now we have the best safety tandem in the NFL. The two best safeties in the NFL, they reside in Detroit. But I gotta really remind people what Melifonwu did last year and how him returning, if they can utilize him, would be almost like a cheat code. Last season, Melifonwu was tied for third on the team in sacks, tied for third in pass deflections, and one of 2 players on the team with multiple interceptions and a forced fumble. That was him and Brian Branch. He was the 9th rated PFF safety last year in terms of the whole year. Even though he came on more at the end and played more snaps, he qualified enough to be the 9th rated PFF safety to go along with the numbers that I just gave you. And in the playoffs, he was 3rd on the team in tackles and one of 2 players along with Aiden Hutchinson to have multiple sacks on the Lions in the playoffs. So Melifonwu last year, there's a reason why I was so high on him going into this year, why I actually thought, looking like a smart prediction now, that he was going to be maybe the one, and Kirby Joseph his role was going to subside. Obviously, dumb prediction, but I'll pretend I didn't say that. But my point is that Melifonwu was damn good last year. He was...
Those stats are amazing when you just kind of read it out like that and put it within the context, and within hindsight, we understand the run that the Lions went on. Can you imagine if he wasn't back there while we were running the backup, like the 3rd string and 4th string cornerbacks?
Well, that's the thing. And it was Aaron Glenn's adjustment to bring Melifonwu more, which when the Lions couldn't get any pressure, that really helped them win a couple of games. And Melifonwu, he will always be a Lions legend no matter what he does, because he might have shined the brightest above anybody in that game at Minnesota when the Lions actually clinched that division. He had 2 sacks and the game-clinching interception. Melifonwu is a damn good player, and I think it is a crowded secondary room. It's about to get even more crowded, or it's about to be a very crowded secondary room, but you got to find a way to get Melifonwu on the field. And of course, I hate to bring this up, you always have to factor in if there's injuries. You would really like him as a reinforcement, even if he's not on the field with a fully healthy secondary as much as maybe you'd think.
Injury reinforcement, I would have liked to have him last week.
Sure.
Yeah. I would have liked to have him against the Packers. What up, though, KG?
No, and me and Sam in lockstep with this, and we was talking during the break. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph right now, you cannot take them off the field. Like he said, they're the best safety tandem in the NFL. This is no slight to Iffy, because he did take a huge step last year after a couple years of kind of wondering where was Melifonwu's place on this Lions defense. He had a hell of a season last year, so having him back it pays dividends ultimately, because you are able to do more stuff. You are more versatile in some of your defensive play calls. But do I expect him to get major snaps at this point? Not necessarily, but they will be bringing him in on certain packages, blitz packages and things of that nature. And he will play some coverage too, don't get me wrong. But the fact that you have such a strong safety room right now and getting him back as a reserve, and like you said, maybe even injury prevention, I love it, man. This is something that the Lions absolutely needed on that back end. You love to see it.
Like, bro, it's like, hey, you want a safety of the quarterback? Like, who? It's Iffy and Mosely. Sure.
Yeah.
Here you go for your playoff run. Terrell from FL. If he plays a hybrid Sam role, he can create a lot of pressure, which would be amazing, which is, a lot of the things that you guys are talking about this morning as well. And with Aaron Glenn, you said something that got my ears a little bit perked up, Flannel. Can Aaron Glenn be one of those, as it relates to his maturation as a defensive coordinator, can he take a Ben Johnson type leap where he's like, what in the mad scientist is going on right now? He's already befuddling teams. When you look at how stupid, whatever wizardry is going on in the red zone for the Detroit Lions. Last year, we started to notice that. We were like, wait. We keep talking about how much they're getting gashed, but I keep seeing these teams running into a brick wall when they get into the 20s. And then this year, they've turned that into, we're just going to take the ball from you. You're not even getting a field goal. So I do wonder, especially when you get those types of reinforcements, because all of these guys, no matter what we believe they should play, we all do agree that they're all versatile. Yeah. All of them, which is insane. All versatile and all good. Like, I'm sitting here like, goodness gracious, I don't even want to undersell this thing. They have a lot that they can do, and this allows Aaron Glenn and those minds in there like KG, Kelvin Shepard.
That's KS,
Tyrell
not
Williams.
KG, right?
It allows these great football minds and a Dan Campbell, man, to just get busy.
Yeah, and to speak more to his versatility, and I don't think he's going to do it, obviously, in the NFL, like be an outside corner, but he was drafted as a corner. He can play a little bit in the slot, and Amik has been he's been fine, but if he ever needs
You're thinking.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
Amik was right there in coverage on Justin Jefferson. He's 5'7" though. Like
I know.
it was just a fingertips length away from
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
If he's 6'3", like that's a possible interception.
Oh,
Yeah.
6'3".
Yeah, 6'3", 210. He's
Yeah.
like 15 pounds lighter than Cam
That's-
Chancellor.
That's a difference, huh?
Yeah. Or even if you want to play him on the back, that frees up Brian Branch to do whatever the hell you want him to do on the field. Whether you want him in the
Because-
slot, the outside, don't matter. Like,
Because
you can do whatever.
if you walk them on the field together, are most teams going to believe that Iffy is the guy you have to think is going to be blitzing? Because you can disguise it so much. You can disguise it so much. With how many interceptions Kirby and Brian Branch have been getting, if I see Iffy walk on the field, I'm thinking, okay, the defense has to. We keep talking about
based off
you
reputation.
have to account. That's why I'm like, Aaron Glenn. We talk about personnel versus talent, and we'll continue to knock on wood because right now they have to make up for and bridge the gap of a big loss in Aiden Hutchinson. It's not all roses, but if you have to have it go this way, at least you got some lilies. Shout out Liliana. You have some lilies. That's my baby girl. You have some lilies along the path, like Iffy, like Mosely, being able to be some reinforcements, like a Zadarius Smith being able to be here as well.
It's really difficult for me to even picture, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we've been doing it as a network ever since the Packers game.
2020.
The Lions losing at this point because they're getting healthier. It's really is crazy. And you mentioned something about Aaron Glenn potentially taking like the Ben Johnson leap. I think he already has.
Yeah.
As I was talking, that's why
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, they're snatching field goal opportunities and touchdowns away from people right now. Like, Dave, how do you I'm sitting here like they're already stopping teams in the red zone.
Yes.
And then instead of like being like Kanye, like how many more records can my records break? It's just like, you know what, this year we're going to stop teams in the red zone, not by forcing them into field goals, but by getting interceptions. And then my safeties, after Aiden Hutchinson goes down, are still going to look like Defensive Player of the Year candidates.
And then maybe Ify Melifonwu getting a big 3rd and 5 sack.
There you go.
Hey,
There you go.
Aaron Glenn, and I get it, Ify Melifonwu
Goodness.
was definitely more of a necessity than a luxury last year. He has shown that he knows how to deploy that lethal weapon in Ify Melifonwu, so he will find a way to get him on the
Maybe
field.
you're right. Maybe
Yeah.
we have to catch up to Aaron Glenn.
I mean, Chase mentioned he looks similar to Cam Chancellor out there. I'm not saying he is Cam Chancellor as a player, but in terms of if there's any qualms about him potentially being like a hybrid Sam linebacker, maybe it's his size, but we've seen him blitz effectively, and I don't think he would be like a 4-down Sam or anything like that. It's situational. I would give damn near anything for at least a package of snaps in which you see Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and Ify Melifonwu on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
That Neil Rule and Sean Belegian face. If I see that, I can't promise you what happens next. I'll just say that.
No, listen, we talk about getting more help back in the secondary. What about getting more help in the pass rush? That absolutely helps your pass
Zadarius
rush
Smith.
with the new addition of Zadarius Smith and a return of Josh Paschal. Just think about it.
Goodness. What up, though? Chase GPT.
Chase GPT.
Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say because KG started spitting.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
you're
you was
good.
spitting. No,
Yeah.
you was spitting fire, Bar King.
Damn near
But-
literally spitting there.
But JB Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP, and long-term voice of reason. I don't even want to get ahead of myself, but there's so much good stuff that I'm hearing right now, and Aaron Glenn got a lot of toys right now.
Aaron Glenn has a lot of toys, and I just love how this is all just coming together. I know at the beginning of the season we had very high hopes, and when you had a couple injuries, but just to see everything just now falling into place, this is perfect. This is perfect for us to continue on with this huge Super Bowl run that we have right now, and not to mention that Vegas had this out on the spear earlier this week as well too, the Lions helmet. So we're getting love in Vegas.
What?
We're getting love in
Send
Vegas
that
right
to
now.
the team. ASAP. Oh, my word. And you know what, Terrell Lamar? I don't want to lose none of our coaches. Me neither, bro. Like, Flannel, please send out that PR alert again.
Yeah, because
Make sure the other teams understand about Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson.
I'll tell you what, if they can retain both coaches next year, it would be an actual miracle. Because at some point, I figure both of them will want to do it on their own. But Ben Johnson had a golden opportunity, and he stayed. Aaron Glenn, I know he had some interviews. I don't think he was necessarily ready just yet. But this year, what he's proven and how people like to play for him, They might both get a head coaching job. They might, neither of them might. One might. They're definitely going to get offers, but maybe they just like working under Dan Campbell.
And they do
There's
have
a
some
big
checkered
difference being a head
pasts
coach
as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't want to hire those guys. You don't want to hire those guys. Did you hear that Ben Johnson doesn't hold the door open for old ladies?
Oh my
He doesn't do
word.
it. He doesn't do it.
He can never be a head
Despicable.
coach.
I saw it.
Oh my god.
Despicable human.
Goodness gracious.
Did you know
Scum of
that?
the earth.
Did you know that Jared Goff actively hates Ben Johnson? It's true. It's true.
no.
Why you sound like a political ad? We done with those, man. We done with those. I'm good.
That was a terrible example because they literally work together in such unison. It's like poetry, but they hate each other. It's all out of
Listen,
spite. All of it's out
I
of
love
spite.
the attempts because we understand how illogical it would be for these guys to be here forever. But we must try. We must try.
I heard Ben Johnson boos kids. That's what I heard. So.
Oh my gosh. Hey, there's a search we need. Ben Johnson Bulls kids. He needs to just stay in Detroit. That's
I
what we
heard-
do here, right? That's what I heard.
I heard Aaron Glenn once walked down Woodward and had an empty pop can and just threw it on the ground. He
Oh
littered
my
it.
God.
You cannot
To
have that
litter?
man as a head
In
coach.
the
at
great
all.
state of pure Michigan.
He's got to stay here.
Oh,
you don't
no.
want him as a head coach.
We should get a collective of Lions fans to agree to change their name to Ben Johnson. So that way, when the active coaches searches begin, they can all show up to the facility. I'm Ben Johnson.
GPT.
I'm here for the interview.
Hold on, pause. Will the real BJ please stand up?
It's like, I am Spartacus. I am Ben Johnson. I am Ben Johnson.
And you know what's crazy? They would do it too.